Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is my vlog of the Australian Sheep and Wool Show. This year it was my first time going. I had the absolute best time and I vlogged, of course, and so I'm going to be bringing you guys along for my cute little weekend in Bendigo. I went to the show as well as to the Bendigo woolen mills themselves and just did some general exploring of Bendigo, and I had the best time. I hope you guys enjoy the video and let's get into it. So I ended up deciding on driving to Bendigo from Melbourne rather than getting the train, and I was very happy with this decision. Firstly because it was so easy to get around in Bendigo itself, and also just the drive there was so pretty. It was a pretty gloomy day, but it definitely added to the vibes, and the landscape there is just so pretty. You know, there's sort of rolling hills and beautiful trees, and I also got to spot a lot of sheep and cows and also some goats during the drive, which was lovely. The sheep show did also have a shuttle service from the train, so I'm sure the train would have also been a good option. Also, there were probably a lot of people knitting on the train, which would have been a cool thing to experience. So I ended up arriving in Bendigo on the Thursday about lunchtime, and then in the afternoon, you already know I had to go and check out the Bendigo woolen mills. I had never been, I'd never even tried their yarn before, but I'm keen to, and I was so excited to see the back rooms. I've just heard about them online and I know that they sell a lot of yarn for cheaper and discounted prices, and also those sort of discontinued older yarns that they don't sell anymore on their website but they had in person, and it did not disappoint. It was very cool. There were also a lot of people there, so I didn't film very much, but I made my first purchases of the weekend here, which was so exciting. And the mill was also within walking distance of where we were staying, so we got to explore on foot, which was nice, and get to see some of the pretty streets. Day one of the show, the first thing I actually saw when I walked in was the petting zoo and all the little cute animals, and honestly I feel so bad for them having to deal with, you know, little kitties, but they looked very at peace in the morning just laying in the sun, and there was this little one there just like chilling out, napping. Honestly, once I walked further I was immediately so overwhelmed by the amount of yarn, the amount of other related products, and it wasn't very busy at this time because I got there at about 9 AM, but the further the morning went on, the more busy it got. So I definitely recommend going at opening if you want to have a bit of a look while there aren't as many people around. But I spent the first few hours honestly just browsing and taking everything in. I did think to myself many times, oh, I'll come back here, and then I would forget because there were so many that I wanted to have a second look at, but I knew I would have the Saturday as well, so I wasn't too stressed about forgetting about anything. But yeah, it was honestly lovely. Loved browsing the yarns. Also, I got my boyfriend behind the camera for some of the day, so that's why I'm in these clips and not behind the camera for the majority of the sheep show. But that was pretty cool, and I got to pick up the yarns and squish them and feel them instead of filming them, which was nice. He did a good job as my cameraman. But yeah, I feel like at the show I was drawn to a lot of the natural woolly sort of colours, but also there were so many fun bright yarns as well, and it was so overwhelming. I didn't really go in with a plan. I recommend probably having somewhat of a plan, but honestly I was fine just going with what felt right, seeing what was there on offer. There was a lot, but yeah, enjoy the yarny goodness. After exploring the yarn that was on offer for a bit, we ended up on the more sheep side of the sheep and wool show. So they were doing some shearing demonstrations, which was pretty cool. They were doing like timed competitions as well as demonstrations, that sort of thing. And I have seen sheep shearing before, but it was pretty cool to see again. This stall had the most beautiful yarn. I really liked this blue, I think it was Surrey and mulberry silk. Like, are you kidding? It's absolutely beautiful. I love the color. I love the fuzziness, the texture. And I actually went back the next day to buy this because I was a little bit hesitant and it was all gone and it was very sad, but maybe next year, I guess. I also have never done spinning before, but tell me why I was so tempted by seeing all the beautiful fibre on sale. I didn't end up buying any, but I was definitely tempted, and it will probably be something I will try in the future at some point. This one stall I actually ended up making a quite big purchase here, but they were selling these really cool, I think they were 500-gram balls of wool, like undyed, and it was so cool. I cannot imagine how difficult the winding process would be, but they had them displayed all beautifully and it was pretty cool. This is me wearing my sweater I made from the wool that I had previously bought from this company. It's really pretty, but it also pills really bad, so I don't know if I recommend it. Oops. But yeah, it was pretty cool to like see them in person because I bought it online. The sheepdog trials were also really cool. We actually ended up watching for about half an hour and we got to see, I think, 4 or 5 dogs do their little demonstration, and it was so cool. But they essentially have to do this little routine with the sheep, and all the owners can do is talk to them and give them commands, so they can't, like, you know, physically help or get involved, and it was very cool to see these dogs. So this is getting into the more agriculture farming side of the show. So they had these huge sheds filled with sheep. They were all entered into different sort of competitions, I believe. There were hundreds of sheep there. It was pretty crazy to see. And then they also had all of their fleeces, which were also, you know, entered in for competition, and it's pretty cool to see, I guess, the entire process. Like, I can really appreciate where my yarn comes from, and all the farmers look so proud with their sheep, and it was pretty cool to see. And we also got to see some cows. I think these cows were here because the farms were like selling these breeds of cows. They weren't there for competition purposes, I believe, but it was still fun to see some cows up close. Day 2 of the show, we got there early again, which was lovely. The parking was a bit chaotic, but once we got inside, it was nice and quiet for the first part of the day, which was lovely. I ended up browsing a lot of the yarns that I had looked at the day prior, but also some new stalls, which was fun. Also, look at this dog. I was also on the lookout for more stitch markers, which I hadn't really, you know, looked at much the previous day. Also, this heirloom quilt cardigan is absolutely stunning. I would love to make it in the future. And then we also came across these 2 whole other sheds that we didn't even know were there, which was Slay. This little stall here was actually selling D&D knitting fibre arts themed stuff, so they had these dice bag kits as well as stitch markers and some beautiful ceramic yarn bowls. They were beautiful. A lot of hand spun yarn in these sheds as well, which was lovely to see. Plushies, more yarn. The yarn was honestly so overwhelming. And then we ended up leaving about lunchtime. We went to this cafe called Percy and Percy, and the coffee came with a tiny teddy. It was so sweet. The food was pretty good, but honestly it was just nice to chill out in a more quiet place after going to the chaotic show. And then this is the drive back to Melbourne. I honestly had such a lovely weekend. I would love to go again. I will be doing a separate video of my haul and my project plans and ideas so far from my haul, so if you want to see that, stick around, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully. Bye! bye.